Presented by YouTube TV. I'm your host, Chris Miles. Some breaking news from the Miami Heat. All-Star Bam Adebayo and the playoff leading scorer for Miami, Goran Dragic, both out of Game 3. They both missed Game 2 as well. But we have an all-star crew, and I don't mean that figuratively. 24 all-star appearances between Charles Barkley, Chris Webber, Grant Hill, and my man Smitty. Fellas, it's been a great final so far, but Chuck, now that you hear that Bam and Goran both out, do you think that the Lakers sweep this series?
Yes, I do. You know, it was going to be difficult for Miami. Listen, I think we all knew coming to this series, if Anthony Davis played great, the Lakers were going to be tough to beat. I mean, coming into the entire playoffs. I think we all said it. Everybody knew that if Anthony Davis plays great, the Lakers were going to win the championship, even if they played the Clippers. And now without Bam and Dragic, this thing is a quick 4-0 wrap.
You know, Grant, when I listened to the press conferences recently, Frank Vogel used two terms that were a little bit above my head, so hopefully you can help me understand. Lawless switching and inverted defense. Those are two things that he said he wanted to make sure going into this series his team didn't do. How are they abiding by those principles in winning this series?
Well, first of all, Chris, I want to say this is the first time I've ever agreed with Chuck. It will be a sweep. For sure, particularly with Dragic and Adebayo out. But yeah, I mean, I think, the bottom line is they got to stay disciplined with their defensive attack. I thought the Lakers defense took a little bit of a step back there in Game 2. Game 1, they were focused. They had smothering, suffocating defense. Miami shot 50% from the field in Game 2. And so a lot of the switching, just, kind of indecisive plays on the defensive end gave Miami an opportunity. And they got it within 10 late there in the fourth quarter, even without Dragic and Adebayo. But defensively, that's been the calling card for the Lakers all season, and it's paramount now, even where they are in the series without the two guys coming back, that they stay locked in and focused and finish the deal and take care of business here in Game 3.
See, Webb, I have a theme here now trying to figure out if the Lakers are going to sweep or not, but I'm looking at some of the numbers inside. AD had 8 offensive rebounds in Game 2. He and LeBron, 22 points in the paint apiece in Game 2. Are the Heat just too small to deal with the Lakers inside? And also, what's your prediction as far as the sweep is concerned?
Well, you can make it 3 for 3. I agree it's going to be a sweep, and I don't think you have to be a hoop genius to see that. I think, even Chuck called before the series. But for me, when they don't have Adebayo in and then they don't have a guy like Dragic that can get in the paint, yeah, you look at those offensive rebound numbers, but you really look at how many points they get to rebounds. And I think the frustrating thing with watching AD play at times is he would dominate, but he wouldn't dominate little guys in the post. And that's what he's doing in this series, and he and LeBron are having their way in the paint. So it's going to be tough for Miami with no size, especially at the 3 position or whatever position you want to say LeBron is, and then at the 4 position with AD. It's going to be tough.
Smitty, I'm looking at your former team in Miami, and I got to give kudos to Jimmy Butler. I mean, he fought 25 points, career high, playoff career high, 13 assists, 18 rebounds. Does he need to produce like this, and where are you as far as the sweep is concerned?
Well, let's start off with the sweep. I too, agree with Chuck. Wow, I can't believe it. But I also disagree with Chuck. I think the sweep of him sweeping me, Grant, and C-Webb on the golf course is never going to happen. So that's the one thing I'm not going to agree with. Third, I look at Jimmy Butler and say, I love what Jimmy's doing. He's one of those guys that came out and, throughout the regular season, he was trying to be a point forward. I think in this series he's come out aggressive. But I think, guys, even more importantly, on the offensive end, which he's 50, 40, 90 in this series, 24, 9 assists. I think defensively, when they do decide to go man-to-man, I think he's going to have to take that challenge even more against LeBron to try to slow down LeBron a little bit because they have no way of stopping Anthony Davis. They're just too small.
Chuck, apparently we've seen your swing before, so I want to know from all of you guys. Let's start with Chuck and then go around the horn. Chuck, C-Webb, Grant, Smitty in that order. Who's the best golfer in this group? Because there seems to be some dissension there. Chuck, go first.
Well, let me call this course. So, I see Smitty is still in the bubble. So I give him Wednesday to come home, because this thing is over Tuesday night. I give him Wednesday to get home and see his family. And I'm going to set up a tea time for Thursday for these guys. And I'm going to prove that I'm back.
Listen, I know Chuck. I saw him swing back with the Sixers. I remember he was in the 80s and all that, but those days are gone. Now, I love Smitty. That's my man. We belong to the same course in Detroit. And I just played with Grant Hill a little while ago. So I'm gonna have to say I'm ready, man. I'm taking lessons. I'm trying to bring sexy back for the big fellas on the golf course.
Grant?
Well, yeah, I'll just say, look, I haven't played with Smitty. I played last year with Charles in the Black Masters. And I promise you guys, it took me 4 months to recover from just watching his swing for 18 holes. I digressed after that. And so I'm starting to get my mojo back. I haven't seen Smitty play. I'll acknowledge Weber is a little bit ahead of me, so I'll probably go with C. Webb out of this group. But I got to exclude Smitty because I haven't seen him play.
Smitty?
You know what, Grant? I saw the Black Masters, but I will say to Chuck, I saw him about a month ago on Golf Club of Georgia. He's improved. He went from the high school level to the G League, but that's about it. I would say out of this group, I would have to say I haven't played with Grant. I would give a nod to C. Webb, but I know who's coming in last for sure. Guaranteed, Chuck.
And to say I'm going to win, you know how bad that is to say I can win? You know how bad this foursome is?
Hey, Chuck, we got a clip of you playing more recently. Would you shoot on this particular day with Gary Player and company?
Hey, man, let me tell you something. I want to thank my boy Eskin on the left. And listen, one of the bucket list things in my life, I have been wanting to meet Gary Player my whole life, and I got an opportunity to play with him Thursday. It was one of the coolest things. You know, Chris, when you meet somebody who you admire from a distance, and they're just as nice when you meet them, but to play golf with Gary Player was one of the highlights of my life. I had met Jack Nicklaus before. I'd met Arnold Palmer before. But to get a chance to meet the big three and play golf with Mr. Player, hey, Chris, it was on my bucket list and one of the coolest days of my life.
Well, I'm glad you're working on your swing and it's getting better. Kelly Olynyk has been in the swing of things, getting more minutes with Bam Adebayo out, 24 points, 9 rebounds without Bam in the lineup in Game 2. That's always good for a podium game, but in our show, that's a one-on-one conversation with Jared Greenberg.
All right, Kelly, going into what everyone knows is a must-win for you guys, how do you describe what the mindset's been the last 48 hours?
Just working our game, getting better, putting in the game.
On site if that works.
Okay, then we will start off with Dave Metterman.
LeBron, you guys went on, I think, a 75-30 run after falling down 13 early. What allows you guys to have success like that over a sustained period of time, a run like that?
Paying attention to detail. I'm physical enough, and you have to get a feel for how hard Miami plays. And I think, they smacked us in the mouth, and we got a sense of that. And so we knew how hard we had to play if we wanted to try to make it a game. And, from that moment when it was 23-10, we started to play to our capabilities. We started flying around. We started getting defensive stops in. We started sharing the ball a lot better offensively and just got into a really good groove.
All right, Kyle Goon.
For AD, obviously his first finals game, what did you see about his preparation? Was there any advice you gave him, and to see him perform like that, what do you feel about that?
I don't feel anything. I expected out of him. Didn't need to give him no advice. We've been preparing for this moment all season. He's been preparing for this moment all season. And I'm happy to be on the same floor with him in the same uniform. And he was, once again, a force every facet of the game, both offensively and defensively.
All right, Dan.
LeBron, you've felt the buzz of the NBA Finals 9 times in your career. What was it like today with nobody there, the sound. I mean, I know you're used to bubble basketball at this point, but on this stage, what did it feel like to play a finals game?
It felt great. It felt great. I've been preparing for this moment for quite a while. And fans, no fans, the inner challenge